Ever feel like making friends as an adult is like trying to figure out the rules to a board game nobody told you about?
Oh, totally.
Like I'm stuck at this like adult table of friendship, but I never got the memo on how it all works.
Yeah.
Like juggling work and life and then trying to like have some semblance of social life on top of that.
Right.
It's just so easy to get stuck in that like making friends as an adult is hard mindset.
It really is.
But what if it's not hard?
Yeah.
What if it's just like different?
Hmm.
We did a deep dive into making friends is easy, actually.
Okay.
And turns out there might be a whole new playbook we could be using.
Interesting you say playbook because this book really does reframe the whole game.
Okay.
So instead of focusing on like these elusive qualities that supposedly make someone good at making friends,
Right.
it breaks it down like a skill set, something you can learn and improve on.
Okay.
Just like playing an instrument or like learning a new language.
That's such a good point because it's not about like some kind of innate charisma you either have or you don't.
Right.
It's about practical techniques that anyone can use.
Absolutely.
And I love how the authors just like keep repeating that phrase.
What's that?
Making friends is easy, actually.
Yeah.
It's like they're trying to rewire our brains.
And the fascinating thing is it seems to work. The book challenges this assumption that it's like inherently harder to make friends as adults.
Okay.
And yeah, our lives are busier.
Yeah.
But we also have like a deeper understanding of ourselves and what we're looking for in a friendship.
That's so true. Remember like back in the playground days when it felt like anyone could be your friend?
Oh.
We might not have that wide open slate anymore.
Yeah.
But we could be way more intentional about who we connect with.
Right.
It's not just about like proximity anymore.
It's not.
It's about shared values and interests.
Exactly. And speaking of being intentional,
Yeah.
the book has some really intriguing insights for introverts.
Oh, okay.
It debunks this myth that introverts are like destined for a life of solitude,
Interesting.
emphasizing that it's not about the quantity of social interaction, but the quality.
Yes. For anyone who's ever felt pressured to be like the life of the party,
Right?
this book is incredibly validating.
It is.
It gives you permission to like embrace your introverted nature.
Yes.
And find your people in ways that feel authentic to you.
Exactly. Instead of forcing yourself into those like high energy networking event situations,
That's
the author suggests finding environments that allow for more genuine one-on-one connections.
Oh,
They actually highlight online communities as a fantastic starting point,
really?
especially for introverts who might feel more comfortable connecting virtually before taking it offline.
It's like that warm-up before the big game.
Exactly.
And it makes so much sense online. You can connect with people from all over who share your very specific passion for, say, I don't know, 18th century Russian literature.
Sure.
Or underwater basket weaving.
Exactly. And what's great about online communities is that they often have subgroups or forums
Oh, wow.
dedicated to even more niche interests.
Oh, my God.
So you're not just finding people who share your love of, let's say, vintage video games, but people who specifically geek out over the same obscure titles as you.
It's like finding your people, but on hyperdrive.
Totally.
And that brings us to this awesome point.
Okay.
You don't have to wait for fate to intervene and just like magically drop your new best friend into your lap.
Right.
Although wouldn't that be nice?
It would be nice.
The book emphasizes that we can actually create opportunities for connection by pursuing shared activities.
I love that.
Like being proactive and putting yourself in environments where you're likely to meet like-minded individuals.
Exactly. Think about it. Joining a local hiking group,
Okay.
signing up for a pottery class, volunteering for a cause you're passionate about.
Yep,
These
yep.
are all prime locations to encounter potential friends who share your interests.
And I love how the authors point out that shared experiences, not only do they provide these natural conversation starters, but they also create a foundation for a deeper connection.
Totally.
Think about a time you bonded with someone over a shared activity.
Okay.
Maybe it was like a hilarious escape room adventure.
Sure.
Or like a particularly intense game of laser tag.
Yeah.
Those shared memories become the building blocks of a friendship.
They do. It's so true. Those like even the slightly disastrous ones,
Right.
they make for the best stories later on.
Exactly.
They create this sense of like camaraderie.
Yeah.
It's like we were in it together kind of bond.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it makes that whole like getting to know you phase so much more organic and fun.
Totally.
Speaking of which, I was like blown away by some of the suggestions in this book for actually meeting people.
Oh, yeah.
And it all comes down to this.
Okay.
Ditch the pressure of those like stereotypical meet cute locations and start thinking about environments that naturally foster connection.
Right. The authors encourage us to shift our perspective from places to like spaces.
So,
It's less about forcing yourself yourself into like a crowded bar scene.
Yeah.
And more about finding places where shared interests are already like the main attraction.
So instead of hoping to like randomly bump into your soulmate at the grocery store,
Right.
although who are we kidding? We've all tried it.
Yeah.
The book suggests we should.
Go where the people who already like what you like are.
Okay.
Think bookstores,
Right.
where you can like strike up a conversation about a favorite author.
Right.
Or discover a new to you genre, or even coffee shops,
Oh, yeah.
which have this amazing way of fostering those spontaneous, like, overheard your order and had to comment moments.
Those are the best. It's like the universe is serving up conversation starters on a silver platter.
It is.
And don't even get me started on local events.
Oh, yeah.
Farmers markets, craft fairs, book readings.
Right.
It's like built-in common ground just waiting to be explored.
Totally.
I recently went to a lecture on urban gardening.
Uh-huh.
And I swear, I met more people organically there than I have at any bar in the past year.
See?
It's amazing.
And you already know you have something in common.
Right.
That shared interest is like a shortcut past those initial awkward silences.
Totally.
The book also mentions fitness studios.
Okay.
Yoga, spinning, rock climbing. Anything where you're like moving and grooving together.
It's like the modern day equivalent of those school sports teams.
Right.
But with less pressure to actually be good at sports.
Right.
Plus, endorphins make everyone friendlier, right?
They do.
And speaking of modern solutions,
Yeah.
I was so intrigued by the book's take on using apps for platonic connections.
Oh, interesting.
It makes so much sense in this like digital age.
It does.
These apps take the guesswork out of finding people who are also open to new friendships.
Right.
You can specify your interests, your hobbies, even your ideal hangout spot. And the app will connect you with potential pals who vibe with your style.
I love that.
It's like online dating, but for friends.
Totally.
And speaking of trying new things,
Yeah.
the book emphasizes the power of shared experiences to like accelerate bonding.
Absolutely. Cooking classes, hiking groups, board game nights.
Yes.
The book is full of surprisingly fun and unique ideas.
Oh, I bet.
And what's brilliant is that these shared activities not only expose you to new experiences,
Yeah.
but also provide those, remember that time when stories that become the fabric of a friendship.
Totally. Plus, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Sometimes those oops moments
Yeah.
where things go hilariously wrong
Right.
end up being like the most memorable bonding
Oh,
experiences.
yeah, absolutely. They give you a shared history,
Yeah.
a set of inside jokes,
Right.
even if the friendship itself doesn't last forever.
And that actually brings up another key point from the book.
Okay.
It's not about like instantly clicking with every single person you meet.
Right.
It's about embracing the long game, nurturing those connections that feel right,
Yes.
and being okay with the fact that not every interaction will lead to a lifelong friendship.
Yes. The authors emphasize quality over quantity when it comes to connection.
Right.
It's more fulfilling to have like a handful of deep, meaningful friendships
Yeah.
than a contact list overflowing with names you can barely remember.
So true. And the book goes beyond just like finding those connections.
Okay.
It dives into how to actually strengthen our social skills
Right.
and navigate those sometimes tricky waters of social interaction.
It can be tricky.
One of the most powerful takeaways for me was the importance of simply being present in the moment.
Oh, absolutely. Putting away your phone,
Yeah.
silencing those mental to-do lists,
Right.
and truly focusing on the person in front of you.
Yeah.
It's such a simple yet profound act.
It's amazing how rare that truly focused attention can be. Think about a time when you could tell someone was genuinely listening, not just waiting for their turn to talk.
Yes.
It makes you feel so seen and heard right.
Absolutely. And the book suggests that by being fully present in our interactions,
Yeah.
we not only make others feel valued, but also open ourselves up to deeper, more meaningful connections.
So how do we actually do that? Besides ditching our phones at the bottom of a lake?
Right.
Tempting, but maybe not practical.
Well, the authors offer some surprisingly practical tips.
Okay.
Even for those of us who might feel a little rusty in the social skills department.
Okay, I'm all ears. What kind of tips are we talking about?
One of my favorite tips is this idea of like having a conversation toolkit.
Okay.
So it's like a few go-to topics or questions
Yeah.
that you can kind of pull out if you feel like that awkward lull in the conversation coming on.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
It's like having that emergency chocolate stash, but for socializing.
Exactly.
What kind of things go in this toolkit?
Oh, it doesn't have to be fancy.
Okay.
It could be as simple as like asking about their favorite recent read
Uh-huh.
or a new restaurant they've tried.
Okay.
Or even like sharing a funny observation from your week.
Yeah.
The key is just to have like a few conversation starters kind of in your back pocket.
Yeah.
Just to like ease any potential tension and keep the conversation flowing.
It's like having a cheat sheet for those moments when your brain decides to take an unexpected nap,
Exactly.
which honestly happens to the best of us.
It does.
But this book doesn't shy away from like those more challenging aspects of social interaction.
Right.
There's a whole section on dealing with social anxiety.
Yeah.
Which I found incredibly relatable and reassuring.
Yeah. So many people struggle with social anxiety.
Yeah.
And the book does a great job of like normalizing those feelings.
Okay.
While also providing like actionable strategies for managing them.
Like what were some of the strategies that resonated with you?
Well, they emphasize the importance of like starting small and gradually expanding your comfort zone. So like if the thought of attending a massive networking event sends your heart racing,
Oh, yeah.
don't force it.
Okay.
Start with something that feels more manageable.
Okay.
Like maybe a virtual coffee date with someone you connected with online.
Okay.
Or attending a workshop with a friend,
Sure.
you know, for moral support.
It's like dipping your toes into the social pool instead of doing like a cannonball into the deep end. Yeah. I also appreciated how the book addressed the fear of rejection.
Oh, yeah.
Which can be a major roadblock for people who are trying to make new friends.
Right, because let's be honest, putting yourself out there always involves the risk of not everyone vibing with you on the same level.
Totally.
But the authors remind us that like not every interaction has to lead to a BFF bond.
Right.
Sometimes it's just about enjoying a pleasant conversation.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't blossom into a lifelong friendship.
It's about shifting our perspective from like success being measured in new contacts added to our phone.
Yeah.
To like valuing those moments of genuine connection, however fleeting they may be.
Exactly. And the book reminds us that most people are also navigating these same social anxieties.
Oh, totally.
Even if they're really good at hiding it.
Yeah.
So like the next time you're feeling nervous about striking up a conversation, just remember that the person next to you might be feeling the exact same way.
It's like that saying, everyone else is just as awkward and weird as I am.
Totally.
Or maybe that's just me.
Maybe.
Anyway, this deep dive into making friends is easy, actually, has been such a refreshing reminder.
It has.
That building connections as an adult doesn't have to be this like daunting, impossible task.
It's about approaching friendship as an ongoing journey, not a destination.
I love that.
It's about being open to new experiences, embracing our authentic selves, and remembering that connection is like a fundamental human need.
And like any skill, it's something we can continuously learn and grow from.
We can.
This book has given us such a great toolkit for doing just that.
It really has. And if you find yourself wanting to explore specific challenges, like overcoming shyness, dealing with rejection, or even navigating the complexities of like long-distance friendships, the authors delve into those topics in even more detail in later chapters.
Consider this your official invitation to continue the journey.
Yes.
And remember, making friends actually can be easy.
It can.
If you approach it with the right mindset.
Yes.
And a willingness to put yourself out there.
Absolutely.
So go forth and connect.
Yes.
You never know what amazing friendships are waiting to be discovered.
You never know.